Hey everyone, welcome back to Rally Caps. It's a podcast for artists, entrepreneurs, and everybody in between. I'm Steven.
I'm Eric, and this is
Carlo.
Yay! Let's go!
Yay.
Carlo Stigliano joining us today on the show. We are super excited to have him here. He is an incredibly talented DP, and he is still in town right now for the private screening of Danny Gewirtz's original feature, I Think I'm Sick. Super excited to chat with him today about the commercial work that he does, his YouTube channel, and just the variety of art that he creates in the world. Carlo, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah,
and you're doing it early in the morning, too.
Yeah. Everyone feels like the past 24, 48 hours is a fever dream.
Yeah, it's a blur.
Very much feels like it.
Yeah.
Because you rolled into the movie like halfway through last
I rolled in with
night,
my suitcase. Yeah, just from set.
Quite literally rolled in.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. And where were you before?
For the past 3 days, I was in Galesburg, Illinois, in the middle of nowhere, doing a commercial for a college, Knox College.
I mean, we have a lot of listeners in Galesburg, so that might have been kind of offensive. So,
Well, it must be like 5 listeners because that's all the people in that town.
We got 100% of that town listening to the show. It's awesome.
dude, I mean, it feels like par for the course for you to be coming off of yet another commercial set. Like, it just seems like you're shooting another commercial every other day these days. Is that true? Or is the internet a lie?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I feel like it comes in waves, like most things. There'll be times where I'm busy for like a couple months, and then I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my bills. It's just the way it works sometimes. But this past month and a half, 2 months has been nonstop, just going crazy. It's been amazing. It really has.
Well, let's round you out a little bit more. Just let us know. Who are you? Everything.
All
of it.
Everything, all about it.
All
My
at
name's
once.
Carlo. Yeah, I am 24. I'm from New Jersey. And I think I started my creative journey in music and eventually led my way into photography. From there, started doing solo, wedding, small business stuff, videography. Cool. Found Danny, ended up teaching me everything about being a cinematographer, and that opened up my world, and it was at a pivotal point in my life where I needed something like that because I was feeling a bit lost, and that was what I needed, and that was the position that I was like, this is going to fulfill me, and it did, and I became obsessed, and that's all I do every day is think about that.
That's awesome,
That's where I am now.
Yeah. Where in music did you start?
So I started, I think I was about 14 or 15. I was watching Tiesto DJ Tomorrowland.
Okay.
I thought he was so sick. I was like, I'm going to be that. No, I'm not. And I wanted to be a DJ, so I started DJing.
Awesome.
And I started doing music production, audio engineering. Started making like hip hop stuff, EDM, and then I slowly went into like cinematic soundscapes and ambient stuff. And then I was DJing like teen nightclubs and stuff like that for a while. I went to school for audio engineering for a year and a half, dropped out, and stopped doing music after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any like residual at all in music, just like for fun or anything like that?
The benefit of that for me was, even as a DP, I don't do too much editing now, but with my YouTube and just like some passion stuff that I do, I have a big passion for sound design.
Yeah.
Cool.
So having that background in mixing and just like understanding sound and like how it relates to video and just stuff like that was a huge benefit. And sometimes I'll be able to create some sounds that I want if I can't find it.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing as well.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some benefits still.
Definitely something we have in common with you. We both come from music backgrounds. I think before even photography or filmmaking were kind of a core part of our lives, and completely agree.
I think a lot of people come from music.
Yeah, it's such a good background to have, especially in the filmmaking world. Like it just completely changes your relationship with sound design, with actual music that's being played, the way to elevate emotion and everything. It's incredible.
Seamless. I mean, like if you're used to sheet music as a kid, like an editing timeline's not too different, you know? So being able to chop and cut on the beat, and you're at an advantage already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't even have to be structured like a 4/4 count. It doesn't have to be cut on every beat. Like you can go on and off beat if you know how it works. And it could. For me, it's just I love. The other thing too is like finding songs that have like a similar tempo and similar key that you can kind of intercut in between. So it's like, oh, it sounds like one song, but it's actually 4 songs. So that's something that's interesting that I like to do, is try to mix a bunch of songs and make it sound like one in a way.
I mean, so cool to see. I mean, before the episode even started, we're just like 24 years old, years young, little whippersnapper, 8 years younger than me. You DP'd a feature.
I did indeed.
Like, how wild is that to think to?
Yeah, I'm still letting it settle in.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, every time I've watched it so many times now too. It still doesn't feel real, to be honest. It's a super rare thing that happened, but it's just an amazing opportunity. I'm super grateful that I got to do it, especially with him. And yeah, I'm glad it set the bar really high, to be honest, for features, because a lot of first features, it's like kind of cringy, a little bit, but this is like a movie you can watch, which is it just set the bar really high for me for future work. And for this to be my first feature, I'm like, man, this is like a dream come true. It's a super rare thing for someone, and I understand that position, and I'm super grateful for it.
Yeah. Last night at the private screening, Danny touched on a good bit during the Q&A portion with a lot of the contributors. Like, it was a really stressful project.
Yeah.
It was really tight timelines and everything. And how did you feel during it, especially coming into the project kind of like a week into it, a little on the later side? Like, you feel to me like a very like cool as a cucumber, kind of like very steady presence to have on set. Were you feeling like any inner turmoil during the production for I Think I'm Sick?
No, I mean, obviously there were a lot of nerves coming into it.
Yeah.
I came in not being the DP. I was just like an extra set of hands.
Okay.
And then like slowly I started like, I was just near Danny the whole time, like kind of operating a little bit, moving the camera and just like tell him like, hey, because he was directing and I was like, hey, maybe we should adjust exposure a little bit, just like to help him out so he can still focus on directing. So,
Because he was DPing at that point, right?
correct. He was doing both, and that's not easy, or you shouldn't. I mean, you can do that obviously, but it's super hard.
Yeah.
And if I could just be the extra set of eyes and be like, hey, we're a little under here, we're a little over, maybe we should do a little bit of this. And I just started doing that, and I think it was by like the second day or so, he kind of just asked me if I wanted a DP, and I was like, yeah, I do. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Yeah. But after that moment, I just became super focused. And of course, there were some stresses, and I felt nervous at times. Like, I've never done anything this long before. Am I going to be able to keep the look consistent throughout? Because that's a big thing with the feature compared to commercials. You're shooting like a 30-second spot compared to an hour-and-a-half thing. You have to make it look consistent throughout. Yeah. So I was like, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to do it under the schedule? And I just trusted the team that was, there. I trusted Danny's vision, which is like the main. You have to do that if you're on a feature. Is trust the director and trust that they know what they want and the story. And I believed in it. And I didn't have the script before. He texted me or called me at 9:00 at night. Said, hey, I need you tomorrow morning. And I got the script, I think, that night or that morning, and I read the entire thing. And it's one of the best scripts I ever read. Like, I read it so quickly. It was so good. Yeah. And yeah, his vision is so clear that I just was there to serve that. And I think that was a bit of comfort, too, knowing that I just needed to be a helping hand for him and just serve what he was doing.
Man.
Yeah, it's wild for us to like wrap our heads around what a production in 22 days is like. And I know there were pickup shots after that and whatnot. But something you said, I think it was in a BTS or something, I can't remember. And I told you this last night, like getting lost in the story and not, because as filmmakers sitting in that theater, your mind can easily wander to the technical bits. How was this lit? Where's the negative fill? How are they doing audio? Is that sound design? Trying to fill in the gaps. I felt like every time my brain went in that direction, same thing that you said, was just like the story overtook it, and I just got lost in it every time I consciously thought of the technical components. So in that sense, like, job well done.
Thanks.
It's. I always wonder, like, being a DP in that kind of scenario, like, surely there's going to be people that come up and just like, oh man, I loved this scene. It looked so great, whatever. What do you like more? Like, and be honest, what kind of compliment do you like more? Like, this looked so good, or like, man,
for this
it was,
particular film, I think the biggest compliment was I think I got it from Phil. Like when I was in Philly or New York, someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, looked great, but I didn't. It wasn't distracting." Right. That was a huge compliment to me because it was meant to be a secondary character, like a background piece. The cinematography wasn't supposed to be in the forefront, like a flashy, huge movements, big lighting setup. Like it just wasn't that movie. And for me to be able to make it still look like a solid movie, but without getting in the way of the actors and the story is, I think that is what makes good cinematography. It doesn't have to always be beautiful or pretty, quote unquote, but it just has to be right for the story. So that was probably the best compliment I got.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the video that Danny made on his channel, just to kind of showcase that, because a lot of family and friends were there and everything, I think you mentioned the fact that even as you watched it, you kind of disappeared into the story too, which I feel like is a pretty incredible thing, because I feel like as artists, we're always prone to critique ourselves, especially when you're watching something at a theater like that. I can't even imagine what that was like. But for you to get lost in the story too on something that you shot, where you're just like staring at your images the entire time, I feel like it's a pretty profound thing.
Oh, it's super amazing. Because I've seen a bunch of edits before this one. And the first time I saw it in Philly on the big screen was this, like the final edit. I haven't seen the final one.
Yeah.
So it was, I've seen the shots before and I saw kind of how it was played together, but I didn't get to see the final score, like this final sound design, the final color.
Yeah, okay.
I saw color in like a bunch of different things, but not in the full thing.
Wow.
So that was a part of it too, is I just got fully immersed in the final piece, that the cinematography was only just like one small portion of it. There's so many other elements that I got to enjoy as well, that I just watched a movie, and it was really, of course there were moments where I'm like, oh boy. Yeah, but majority of the time I just got to sit and enjoy a movie. It was amazing.
well, surely based off of like time constraints or, you know, problems you guys ran into, there's got to be some scenes that just make you cringe, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I won't tell you which ones.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even want to know, because like I was like looking at it last night. It's like everything is beautiful in this, like movements and the way everything was lit, and like
It's very intentional.
it really felt that way. It was awesome. Like every frame felt like its own little painting. It was it just felt amazing. I did especially like you breaking down the car scenes. I think someone asked about how you lit those in particular, and they just looked so natural. I think like what you
Well, that was
kind
the
of touched
goal.
on earlier.
That was the goal for him, is to keep it as natural as possible. He didn't want it to make it look like a commercial feature film.
Right.
So that was huge for me, was learning how to simplify my approach to everything, because commercials, I'm doing a lot of extravagant things a lot of the times and making it look perfect.
Yeah.
Like I need a exact highlight here. I need the Rembrandt there. I need this, that. Or like there was a certain scene, I think it was the dining room with the parents, like you'll see that they have like raccoon eyes a little bit. And that was a huge thing. I was like, do I keep the raccoon eyes? Do I not? Because in commercials, you don't want that.
Right.
But for this one, it was kind of like a dreary-ish moment with them. And he's not like a super upbeat. I was like, I think it kind of fits. And it was an ego thing that I had to let go of. Like it fits, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So that was just keeping it in that realm was part of the story for sure.
It's cool to hear you say that, because I found myself often just being like, are they even using any lights right now?
So that's one of the great compliments too, because yes, in majority of the scenes there are lights that we're using, but the goal is to make it look like we aren't using lights in a way. And it's a weird thing with cinematography when it's like that, but it's for the sake of schedule, because you can make something. People ask me like at the end of the screen, like, do you have any advice? Because I'm shooting a short film. It's like we have an hour and a half for this scene, for example, and to set up, shoot, and do whatever, I could spend an hour and set up and light, and that gives Danny and the actors 30 minutes to rehearse and shoot. Or I can, to make it perfect, essentially. Or I could spend 30 or 45 minutes, make it look really, really good, and it's great for the story and it's perfect, and give Danny and the actors an extra 15 minutes to, you know, perform and rehearse. And I knew that this was a performance-heavy story, so trying to give them the extra time and not make my work perfect, I think helped the story and gave them the extra takes that they needed.
It's honestly such an inspiring attitude to have, man. Like that's like such a humble approach, and to to think that that was your mentality and you made it look as absolutely incredible as it did at the same time is just amazing. Honestly, like props to you.
Thanks.
It's really, really impressive.
Thank you.
So cool, man.
So
Jeez.
the stereotypical question, you gonna do it again or what?
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I want to. But I think
You sound stoked about
yeah,
it too.
my standards are high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten a bunch of feature offers already from it,
Okay. Wow.
and I've turned them all down.
Okay.
Just because the script isn't great.
Yeah.
I've had meetings with directors, just they're not clear on what they want. And I'm like, I'm gonna commit to something for this long. I need to have someone that is like fully into the story that they're creating, and so I'm definitely picky, especially feature.
Yeah.
But I got a really cool short coming up, which I'm excited about. But feature, I'm gonna have to be a little pickier now.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
think.
You hop on a plane in a few hours to the LA screening happening tonight, which wild that there's back-to-back nights in different cities, very far apart from each other. But there's some pretty special people that are going to be there. Some people that I think you're excited to meet as well, and for them to see your work too. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, the biggest one for me.
So nervous.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I woke
No
up.
pressure,
I woke
man.
up already shaking. So to give people context, the biggest one for me personally is Lawrence Sher.
Yeah.
For those that don't know him, he shot the Joker movies, Hangover, a bunch of movies. He's the owner of Shot Deck. Joker for me, when it came out, was a huge movie for cinematography. That was like when I was like really diving into becoming a DP and like learning everything about it. I think I watched that movie, I swear, like 50, 75 times. Like I became obsessed with that movie.
Oh wow.
Whoa.
It got to the point where I would pause and analyze scenes from that movie, and I wrote it. I had like a binder for scenes, and like I wrote down like, what did they do here? And I was just like coming up with ideas of how I have no idea how they did it.
Wow.
But I was just like, oh, they might have done this, they might have done that. I became obsessed with that movie. It was pivotal for me.
Wow.
And the fact that I get to meet the guy who shot it tonight and have him watch something that I shot, and it's man, you don't get that. Yeah. You really don't ever get that opportunity, and it's I can't wait. I'm so nervous, but I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you said kind of in passing last night. You're like, I want him to just like give me the
Yeah.
honest truth, like just
100%.
lay into my work, because that criticism would be so valuable for everything you're doing going forward.
Yeah, and I don't want to like pitch it to him before I see him, be like, hey, watch the movie and think about my work and critique me at the end. But like, this is a moment where I'm like, if you can give me something, please do, even if it's like kind of shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I need that then.
Right.
So like, I don't know what I'm looking for from him, but I just want to be able to, I don't know, talk to him, I guess, about it. Never gonna, I don't know when I'm ever gonna get that again.
Well, it's just wild that like you're obviously one of the people he's going to want to talk to
Yeah,
tonight.
that's the other weird thing too.
like
Yeah, that's
it's
the other
just
weird thing.
DP to DP.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Can't wait.
It's gonna be awesome.
Packed house. I think he said
I think it's
250.
Oh, that's a lot.
250.
I think so.
Ooh.
Goodness.
Yeah,
Crazy.
the amount of people that donated to this too. Like,
What? Yeah.
It's
Heavy
just-
concentration
The
in
support
LA.
is just like,
yeah, the
It's
fact that
amazing.
hundreds of people across cities donated to the film, and like a true indie internet effort.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
yeah.
Like to see that something like this is happening now. So we obviously don't want to spend the entire time talking about itis because you know, it's like that's Danny's baby, and like you have other stuff, and like you are more complex as an artist, as a person, and you're just doing really cool things on YouTube. You're doing commercial work. I'm like so stoked to hopefully see the short you're working on.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to hear more about YouTube and YouTube approach. Like, what do you think about that platform? Like being someone as successful in the world where people might sneer at YouTube.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on it?
It's changed over the past couple of years. It's probably one of the hardest things I've tried to pursue and have been pursuing. I started it at the peak of COVID because I had nothing else to do. And if you scroll down to the first video, it is so bad. Oh my gosh.
Leave it up?
I can't even look. It's still up.
Good.
Oh yeah, you can watch it.
Great.
It's so bad. But I didn't, yeah, it took me a while to find like who I am, what I wanted to do within that space. But obviously it's pretty focused around cinematography. Yeah. But I think the niche within that I wanted to target was the bridging the gap between like real DPs that are on set working and like the YouTube side. Because I felt like there wasn't a lot of information talking about it. There's a lot of technical stuff.
Yeah.
Like you learn about this camera, learn about this lens, filters, and how to set up a key light. Like there's tons of that. But I wanted to really, I think people have a misconception of what a true DP is on like a real set. And a lot of the stuff that I've been doing recently is like a lot of like raw behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's been huge for me and like the channel. It's helped grow it tremendously. Essentially I mean, not all the commercials, but whatever I can, I'll usually hire a behind the scenes guy. Usually it's out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
I'll bring someone on and they're there for the entire day just filming raw behind the scenes. And I'll get like a terabyte of footage, which is brutal. And I have to sift through all that. But yeah, it's like a 30 to 45-minute edit on YouTube. Yep. And I just wanted to make it so if someone wanted to just sit and watch it for that long, you can essentially just get what it's like a day in the life of what a cinematographer's like. Because you don't really see people communicate, DPs communicate with the gaffers on YouTube, key grips, ACs, directors, producers, and
real conversations
like on set. And there's moments in those videos where like it's one take for like 2.5 minutes where I'm like really communicating with the director about something and we're kind of going back and forth and like trying to figure out a solution. Those are super valuable moments that you don't see. And I think that's super helpful as a DP. That is majority of the job. Like lighting, setting up a key light, all that stuff, like that's such a small percentage. Obviously lighting is huge, but being able to communicate your ideas effectively and be able to like deliberate with the director about what they want, what we want that's the job. And I think it's shown to be super valuable to people. Yeah. Because you don't see it very often.
No, I loved I think it was with True Classic. It was a t-shirt company. That behind the scenes was awesome. And that was what I noticed too, more than anything was, lighting is important, like you're saying, but it was all the interactions that you're having with talent, with the owners of the company and everything. Like that's a huge, huge part of it, like you're saying. And just watching that happen, watching that unfold in a context that I've never personally been a part of before is really cool because you can tuck that information away for later just to kind of like prep yourself for something like that eventually.
You have to wear a ton of different hats as a DP.
Yeah.
It's not just the lighting, it's not just the camera side. Because I feel like some people just have that preconception. That's what it is as a DP. Like you'll set up a scene, you'll talk to your gaffer about super technical stuff, lighting wise, talk to AC about the lenses and stuff. And then you have to completely switch your mindset and you talk to the director and the people about what this shot is, how you're going to do it. But you can't, it depends on the director. You can't talk super technical sometimes because it doesn't matter. So you can go from a super technical conversation to just not at all. And you have to balance that shift mentally, which is, it's a challenge, but it, you have to do it.
But that's truly what can separate a good director of photography from a great one, is that one lane and thinking in a one lane attitude and not comprehensively can potentially be disastrous.
I agree.
On set. And like anything in the creative world, whether you're shooting weddings, you're doing commercial work, you're on a narrative film set, communication is like
that's what it is.
Just like it's any profession is communication, open communication, making sure things are super clear. That's when emotions are kept in check, and things don't go off the rails because assumptions start being made and we're all fickle creatures, And
being open to ideas. And something I learned too is like, as I've grown as a DP, I've gotten more confident in myself, my abilities, but I think that's allowed me to feel more confident in taking, and having people come up to me with creative ideas. Because as a DP in the beginning, you're kind of insecure about like yourself, your abilities. You kind of want to like hold everything and like, oh, I need to do all this. And you sometimes don't take the creative ideas from like your AC or your gaffer or someone like a PA. You might have an amazing creative idea, but like if you're super insecure about it, you're like yourself, you might not be open to those. But as I've grown and just understand that my role and my confidence level has grown, some of the best ideas has come from like a PA that's come up to me like, hey, what if you did that real quick? Like, oh, that's actually a great idea. Maybe if it's not exactly like that, it might spark something new that I haven't even thought of. Yeah. So just being open to any and all ideas from any person could lead to something that you've never thought of.
Okay, but what if the idea is like total trash?
Then I will say it is not good. That's the other part about being a DP too, is you have to be the person to say no. Like you're the one that is controlling the image, and it's a hard thing to say no to people.
Okay. Right.
But you have to.
We're gonna role play for a second.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Mister.
No.
Because I already hate it.
Yeah,
It's bad.
yeah, we'll skip to the next part.
Okay, Mr. Carlos Stiglianopoulos. Like, what if there was? What if we like stuck a lizard in there and like, you know, flopping around in the water?
I don't even know where to go from here.
You set that up just so you could say water, didn't you?
Oh,
you totally did.
You did, right? Just so I could say, okay. Just so
He's from
everyone,
Jersey,
just
says-
so everyone knows here.
Say
I get,
water. Say water.
Okay, water. There we go. Are you guys happy? Yeah, water.
I'll be honest, I noticed it last night at the screening
I
anyway.
know, I know. When I said that scene, when I talked about
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
people are like, oh, what is water? I'm like, what do you mean? I forget that I'd say it like that. They're like, there's no O. I'm like, oh, I know there's no O.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Water.
I'll be honest, hearing you do that just now, I'm like, man, it is weird the way that we say it.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
That needs to be clipped. That's just an Instagram
Water.
word. And his low voice is like, water.
Water. Oh, no. Oh, man.
But that, I mean, like for real though, that honesty is a huge part of communication also, because if you're not fully upfront with people, then you're delaying time and you're not like being true to yourself.
Will you
also.
be as upfront and just be like, no?
Nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah, nicer. I'd
How
be
much
like,
nicer?
I'd be like, I like appreciate you coming up with this idea. I think it could work in a certain scenario, but for right now, we're just going to stick with this type of thing.
Cool.
Obviously, given the circumstance, but like, I'm not going to just flat out be like, no, that sucks. I'm not going to say that because then they're going to turn away and never want to come up to me again.
Yep.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the thing too. It's like you want to say no, but you also want to give them the feeling that they can still come up to you for another idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that balance.
It's like affirmation
Yeah.
with a little bit
exactly.
of rejection too, but like not in
But they also have to know too that their ideas might not always work as well.
Right, yeah.
And that's a hard thing too. Is like
balance.
some people expect like, oh, I have a great idea, it's gonna work. No, it might not.
Yeah.
So be okay with it not working.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. And, you know,
Yeah.
maybe we could do this too.
Yeah.
Our catchphase is maybe
We could.
we could.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a
Anytime
little
yeah.
it's a little passive aggressive, but right, someone does it and then we all sit there and we go, we could do that.
Yeah.
Or
Or
there's an
not.
implied or after it always.
Yeah.
Did you shoot a commercial with Chris Pratt?
No.
No. Am I completely
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong Carlo. That's who it was.
that's who it
The other
was.
Carlo.
The other Carlo.
That says water.
There's another Carlo that says water.
Apparently. I swear I thought I saw you like post screenshots. It was like another t-shirt ad or something.
Not that I remember. I think I would remember that.
I was I was like, I feel like I'm gonna drop this right now. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, that was awesome. I'm like,
No, I'm sorry.
no, that's not it.
I can make
Okay.
up a story, but
Yeah,
it
dude,
Yeah,
you-
please.
Yeah,
well, he was a really nice guy.
That sounds great.
That's my story.
that's awesome, man. Seems like great for Star Lord.
Does
That's
seem like a nice
awesome,
guy.
awesome guy.
Great for the real.
yeah, great.
Great for the real.
It is funny with an indie movie screening. You literally have Chris Pratt's Guardians playing in the theater next to you, and it's like,
Yeah, dude, that's what I heard.
It was so loud.
I was confused. I was like, did Danny add sub in these random scenes?
in this very
This very
quiet,
dark,
emotional
quiet- yeah.
scene.
yeah, it seems appropriate right now.
It was so loud.
It was. So,
Yeah.
I literally there were moments where I was like, that's an interesting choice to have that. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Then afterwards, he was like, yeah, no, Guardians was so loud next door. Like literally had Pat go out and tell him to. Like, shut
Yeah,
up
I saw
next
it. I saw
door.
Pat Lee when you did that. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
How do you feel about like meta YouTube? Like, here's this camera, here's this thing, but I don't make anything with it. And honest opinion, because there's a ton of value in those channels, in like seeing that piece of gear that lens, that light, so you know a decision to make on set. But we often see people make channels like that, and then they find themselves burning out because there's like, no, I think of someone like Gerald Undone, where he's like, he had a phase where he's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's just about nothing.
Yeah, it's tough because I find that in the beginning stages of my career, I was like yearning for very technical stuff as well. Because I think it's important to, understand the basics. But I think to a certain point, it's just, it kind of, not that it becomes irrelevant, but it becomes like too much information that you get like, what is it? Decision paralysis?
Yes.
What is it called?
Yeah, decision paralysis.
Yeah, something like that,
Yep.
where you get so much information. It's like this camera with this many specs, this one with this, that, this. It's like, just pick one and go shoot something.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really what it comes down to, is like they're trying to find the perfect thing, but there is no perfect camera, lens, light, whatever. It's, you just got to pick one and shoot it and use it the best you can.
Yeah.
But there is some benefit to the technical stuff.
In that vein, not to harp on gear too much, but you did recently invest in a fantastic cinema camera of your own, a Sony Venice.
Yeah.
You picked that up after shooting
So
Itis?
I've done a couple commercials with the Venice.
Yeah.
Kind of fell in love with it there. And then I got to live with it on this feature for like quite a while.
Yeah.
And I just...
Took it home at night, tucked it in.
Yes, I did actually. I did take it home, which was very funny. Yeah, I did take it home.
Did you actually?
Yes, I did. Yeah, which I shouldn't. Normally, I shouldn't take it home, but I didn't really trust anyone else, and we didn't have like a safe spot for it, so it was next to me, actually.
Yeah.
It was next to my bed. It's so funny you say that. I'm not even lying.
Tucked it in with a garbage bag every night just to
I
waterproof
kicked my
it.
fiance out and put the camera right there. But yes, I did buy that camera after. Previously, I owned the Blackmagic Ursa and Pocket 6K. Still use them. They're amazing cameras. Great images. But I needed something that was a little bit more presentable for the work that I was doing. Because I was getting a lot of work, and I'm like renting minis and mini LFs and Venices. I'm like, I mean, I could be getting this money, kind of. And I, as a creative, I'm also pretty business minded as well.
Yeah.
So I understand the value of investments and like investing in what you know in a way. And for me, it was like, I'm young. I want to invest in a bunch of other things as I grow and get older. But right now, I think equipment, but very specific equipment, would be wise for me.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was kind of only growing in this field, and getting a camera like this would only, benefit me long term, even if it didn't pay off like right now. I knew that it would long term. So I decided between a Mini LF, a Venice, or a Venice 2. Those were kind of my options. And I got a quote for the Venice 2. It was like $100 and something grand. I'm like, no, I'm going to pass. I got a quote for a Mini LF. I'm like, going to pass on that one too. I got a quote for a Venice. I'm like, it's a lot, but it's manageable.
Yeah.
And it's still really, really good. And it's going to last me a long time.
Yeah.
So I just pulled the trigger on that. I pulled the trigger on a lens set, the Tokina Vista Primes. And I have a really solid camera package that I can offer. And so far it's been paying itself off. And that's kind of the goal, is to, invest in something and not have to pay for it.
Yeah. That's a very cool strategy. And I feel like it must make you, to a certain degree, even like more marketable to have.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, I could talk about investments real quick too. When I moved to
Please.
Philly, yeah. When I moved to Philly, there was a hole in the Philly market where all the rental houses started at like 1 ton trucks, 1 ton, 3 ton, 5 ton trucks.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I just got there, I wasn't doing big projects yet, and I couldn't afford a 1 ton, a 3 ton, a 5 ton. I couldn't afford that stuff yet, and I was like, why is there no half-ton options in Philly? So I sold my car and I bought a half-ton van, and I got a crap ton of grip equipment, electric equipment, lighting. I bought a cart, and I essentially became the only person in Philly with a half-ton package, and that was how I became like really well known in Philly, and that helped me market myself. Was that I offered this to a certain level of production that was otherwise a little bit trickier for producers, because they had to meal piece every piece of equipment and like had to go send a PA with a car to go bring everything and bring it back. but I offered a solution of being a DP and bringing everything to set and bringing it back. And that, for one, helped producers, ease of, producing and not have to deal with meal piecing everything and sending a PA and adding that expense. But it also allowed me to look at all the equipment that I have. I take care of my equipment well. I know exactly what the van looks like, and the people that I bring on are familiar with my equipment now, my van, and I don't even have to do anything. I can unload it and load it, and it's exactly how I want it. So yeah, that was a big thing when I first got to Philly, was finding that hole and just like committing to it immediately, and it paid off. And I have yet to pay for my van, and I've owned it for like 2 years.
It's amazing. I'm really happy you brought that up because I was going to bring it up if you did. I love that video that you made, just kind of unpacking that whole build out and everything, because it's such a brilliant move. Like, it just made so much sense. And it, like, you also just like crushed the whole organization of everything on the inside too. I was like, super clean, but it just made so much sense. And like, that's having that business mind to like see a hole in the market, be like, well, now I make myself more marketable as a DP, and also I'm like solving problems for other people, making other people's lives easier.
As a DP is you have to solve problems. That's your job,
yeah,
essentially. And I'm not, and it's a hard thing. It was a hard thing to commit to because I sold like a car that I could drive and go on dates with, and now I go on dates in a cargo van. So it's not for everybody, but it's for me it was a sacrifice that I'm willing to make at my age right now in order to move forward in my life, moving forward as I get older. And I'm not going to have this forever. And as I grow, obviously the half ton isn't as useful anymore. But I found a way to actually make it useful. I'll hire the 1 ton, 3 ton, 5 ton trucks, but offer my half ton as a camera van. So that's a way for me to still utilize it, get a rental, and be able to offer a bigger camera service in a way. So that is a way I'm working into it now. But eventually I think I want to kind of get rid of some things and, lower my overhead a little bit.
For sure.
It's a lot to manage still.
Yeah. The common thread that we see with so many young, successful creatives and entrepreneurs is the idea of delayed gratification. And I really think that's the name of the game these days, is that so many people aren't willing to experience delayed gratification. They want everything now. And when it comes to you building out a half-ton van, making the investment in buying your own kit and having your own camera package, you're seeing things long-term. And one of the questions I had was like, is it profitable? Like, is it profitable yet? Just watching one of your recent videos, you're like, yeah, we had an 11 grand budget, didn't even take a paycheck. Yeah. Like, what's the value in that? Like, do you have any hate comments? People coming in just being like, what are you doing?
Yeah, for sure.
What are you doing?
Yeah, but I think those people are pretty shallow-minded. And for me, the profit comes from an experience. For that one in particular that you're referring to, like, that was a unique experience where I was producing and also DPing. Because I know within myself I don't want to be a director, but I like creating environments, and I like being able to bring people together. So there's like a certain element of producing that I actually enjoy, but I don't want to direct. So it was a weird balance between being a producer, DP, and hiring a director. That's a weird place to be.
Yeah.
But I knew that within that budget that I had, that I was given, I knew that we could create something like really, really amazing if I invested all of it into the project. Because if I took my paycheck as a producer, paycheck as a DP, paycheck as my camera package, it would have eaten up like majority of the budget. And then we would have came out with nothing, but I would have had some money. But for me, that doesn't mean anything right now. And, for some people, that's, you need money. And I totally understand that, and I do as well. But I was at a particular point where I was willing to sacrifice a paycheck in order to create something that I think would benefit me as a DP long term, because I think visually it speaks to where my growth is as a DP and how I can shoot things now. But that was only because I put all of the money into the project, hiring the right crew, giving them their full rates, getting hair and makeup, production design, just literally doing it the right way and not paying myself at all.
Yeah.
And truly, like, the only way you can feel comfortable doing that without just being a psycho and just wilding out money is that you have other means of income. You have the van, you have, whether it's huge or small, YouTube ad revenue, the channel, there's all these different facets where you're like, I can fall back on a few things and take this risk here. Whereas you put all your eggs in one basket and then all of a sudden it's just like,
It's tough.
I literally can't sacrifice the paycheck on this one. My time is too valuable.
I think something that a lot of creatives forget is just like financial literacy. It's super important today, especially with the economy and how expensive things are. It's first thing I did was, because I grew up not learning about money. My parents didn't teach me about money at all. It was something that I had to learn myself, and I like dove deep into it because I didn't want to be put in a place like, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I don't want to be in the similar position that my grandparents were in or my family was in. It just, I wanted to kind of change the trajectory of what my family was in. So I dove headfirst into understanding finances. And the first thing I did was set up different bank accounts and set up an emergency fund. That was like the first thing. And paying off debt was the biggest thing. I had student loans, and for about 2 years, I sacrificed again, taking more profit to pay off my student loans. So I think my minimum payment was like $300. I think I paid like $2,500, $3,000 a month, trying to just pay it off. And I paid off my student loans and managed to get rid of majority of my debt. That helped me feel comfortable to start putting stuff in my emergency fund so that I can do stuff like this and have kind of a safety net. Because as a freelancer, like I said, you have great months, you don't have great months. And having some sort of safety net like that is imperative. Really is, to at least feel sane and go to bed at night.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Not like waking up in the middle of the night stressed out of your mind.
Yeah,
Because,
it's my favorite.
Yeah.
You're like, that was last night.
Literally.
Did you
stress for a good reason?
was that inspired by Ramsey at all? Did you watch Dave
I
Ramsey?
actually watched him. There's like certain things that I like about him. I like Robert Kiyosaki a lot as well, especially for the real estate side, which is something
Rich
I
Dad
like.
Poor Dad, right?
Yeah, something I want to get into more. But yeah, he was a big thing for me. Just like understanding that debt is like really bad, but not all debt is bad.
Yeah,
right.
That's the part
It's balancing the
that's
two.
the part I disagree with him about, because the Venice, the van, that's debt.
Yeah.
But the way that you look at it, from the way I look at it, is it's good debt because I have yet to pay for it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it's a risk, and you might have a bad month, and you do have to pay for it. But yeah, I mean, this month alone, I was able to pay for 8 months worth of my Venice. And
It's amazing. Oh my gosh.
there might be a couple months where I don't get any work though, but that's the risk versus reward that you have to balance.
And no disrespect to Father Ramsey, but
Father Ramsey.
his approach and how he teaches is it's to a really wide audience.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's for
But I understand the credit card aspect to majority of people.
People can't
I
handle
get
credit
it.
cards.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but there are benefits to credit cards.
Yeah.
If
Like
you know how to
you
do
can
it
hack the
well.
points. You could do like it takes self-awareness and discipline. If you don't have those things and you don't have the self-awareness to realize you're undisciplined, you're done for.
For sure.
Like go listen to everything Dave Ramsey has to say. If you can think intuitively and creatively about your money, you can take some nuance and like take some
100%.
risk in the business choices and the investments you make. And that's where people get real smart and like leverage debt in a really good way because you have a profitable idea, you know? Man.
What's it going to take to get you to move to Chicago?
How are you
'Cause
24?
I really just want to have these conversations every day, man.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Would I ever move to Chicago? No. No.
Oh, dude, that's the honesty we were talking about earlier. I like
no.
that.
We
That's
were
really
just
good.
the PA with the bad idea.
But could do it like this. I could come every so often.
Like we could do that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's nice here.
Yeah.
But no.
Is Philly kind of a forever home for you, do you think?
So I'm actually like right across the river. I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Right, but it's essentially Philly, pretty much. Is it my forever home? I don't know. I really don't know. I think I'd like to get to a place where I don't have to be in a location for work. I can kind of be in a location because I want to be there.
Yeah.
And then work is, enough where I can travel and stuff.
Yep.
Because I think that's what a lot of like DPs I look up to. They live in LA, of course, New York, but a lot of them live like in North Carolina, where the cost of living is down. It's a way better lifestyle, which is something that's interesting to me. Like New Jersey is expensive.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But as of now, it's my home.
Great.
Has been for 24 years.
Still family there?
I do. I have my mom my grandmother, my sister, and my dad lives in South Carolina
Okay.
with my stepmom.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Wow. Yeah. How are you 24?
I lived for 24 years.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. Corny.
I don't know. I have a.
You were born in 1999?
1998.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Right under the cutoff.
Yeah. I have a
Dang it.
I have a great dad who taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And really hard on me
Okay.
as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me mature very young.
Yeah.
And I never found any interest in. I always felt more comfortable with, like, if I'm at like a party, like a family party with kids and all that stuff. I always was with the adults. I always found comfort being with adults and having conversations with them. I don't want to say that I don't like talking to kids my age, but like, I'm very specific on like who I interact with and associate with that are my age, because I just don't want to be sucked into bullshit.
Yeah.
I have no time, energy, or I don't care about drama. I don't care about bullshit. So talking with adults for me was just a way to have like actual conversations. I don't want. It's just how I just feel more comfortable talking to adults growing up.
Yeah. Really not trying to pay insincere compliments either. Like, for real, you just like have a presence about you, and it shows that like you just have some kind of wisdom beyond, I think, most people at your age. It's just like it's really impressive, man. Like, honestly, like,
People call you like the 45-year-old, 24-year-old.
Yeah, my mom says I have like an old soul.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
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 So whatever that means, but yeah.
Man. Yeah.
I feel like a great closing question is the real question that everyone's asking is like, what's the gym routine, man?
Yeah, man.
Man,
What's going on? You
Jeez.
crossed your arms
Got
last
these
night.
chicken
I
legs
know,
over here.
man. You kidding me? What's going
everyone
on?
said like when I crossed my arms, my forearm started popping.
They
I'm
did.
like,
Dude,
obviously.
Everyone saw
Dude,
it.
incredible.
Yeah.
Every question about the film flew out of my mind. I'm just like,
I
all
had
right,
to
what's the
like
deal? What's
cover
going
my
on,
wife's
man?
eyes.
Yeah. So the gym routine started when I was like 13,
Okay.
12 or 13. My dad had me going to the gym and working out then, and it's been consistent since I've been 12.
Wow.
Pretty much. So like, this isn't like I'm in shape. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
take it
pretty-
off.
I'm
I'm
pretty
kidding.
well built. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, but yeah, it's just years of consistent hard work of 5-6 days a week.
Okay, yeah.
I do a balance between weightlifting, calisthenics, and yoga.
Okay.
And it's just become like a part of my life, like where a lot of people are like, oh, I got to go to the gym now. It's like, or like, I have to go to the gym. It's like, it's just embedded in who I am.
Yeah.
So it's like not even an option. Like even when I travel, I go to hotel gyms.
Cool. Yeah.
It's just, it feels good. It relieves like anxiety and stuff for me, and I feel comfortable at the gym.
Yeah.
It's like it's a great space for me. Really enjoy it.
I imagine
And I
it,
have to as a DP.
I was just about
Yeah,
to
I
say,
have
I
to.
imagine it makes your job so much easier, because if not, like, you kept carrying out these crazy camera packages and everything, like long production days. Like the yoga component in particular has got to be
there's
huge.
like certain. It also helps that I'm like 4 foot. Jeez, man, I just did it to myself. Yeah, it helps sometimes that I am 5'3", and I will. I'm gonna say 5'4". 5'4". Cut that out.
Yeah.
5'4", because I can get into like really small places. Like there's
Yeah.
certain scenes and certain things where I'm literally in the foot area of a car, like that little area. I am literally tucked in like this with the camera.
That's crazy.
And there's like other times where I need to get super low, and I'm in just like a huge deep lunge, and then I have to go to like the other lunge, and like being able to do that smoothly. And
Yep.
it's all about stamina too.
Yeah.
Like that oneer in the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
That was no easy rig, and that was holding like a 50-something pound camera the whole time, and it was just on the fly, and I was like, I have to do it. But you just the stamina and being able to do it well adds an element of like what you're able to offer.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's incredible.
Man, investment in the van, investment in the veins. I don't know.
Yeah, investment.
That
in
was
the
a bad one. I'm
veins.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I rate that like a 3 out of 10.
Okay, yeah.
Weightlifting, calisthenics, yoga. I'm
Yes.
saying that for my personal recollection, because
Hot yoga.
Yeah. Hot yoga too.
Yeah,
Okay, wow.
I do like regular yoga, and like honestly, the best thing if you like, a lot of people jump into weightlifting like, oh, I'm gonna go 6 days a week right now, and then you can't do that.
No.
You have to start small. If you're gonna do yoga, if you're gonna stretch, my recommendation is like at night if you watch TV, don't sit on the couch, sit on the floor watching TV and stretch for 30 minutes watching your show. That is a great way to start and still get your TV fix. That's what I still do that.
Yeah,
But hot yoga for me it's amazing.
that's awesome.
It's the best.
Yeah.
So, Carlo, will you ever run a marathon?
I tried running a half marathon and then I gave up.
My guy.
Yeah.
Yes, it backfired. That's so good.
Yeah. But I enjoy running. I enjoy it, but I don't know. Nah.
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to do like a Tough Mudder.
Oh,
That
dude.
type of thing interests me more, like climbing stuff.
Yeah. Those are sick.
Yeah. The running is like, it's super admirable. Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I could. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff interests me more. The climbing and going through all those things.
Yeah. Like a cross training.
Cross-training thing. Yeah, it's super
It's
interesting.
cool. Yeah. I've always forget. I love yoga. Like I did it in college for like a semester, just as a PE credit kind of thing. I couldn't touch my toes before that class.
Yeah.
Afterwards, everything like deep squats and everything, like heels on the ground, touch my toes. And honestly, I feel like in a similar vein, it kind of just makes you more versatile.
Oh my gosh.
As
I
a
mean,
camera
I
op.
started because I had back problems from operating.
Really?
And I was like, I'm like 20 years old and I can't even straighten my back out. Like,
Yeah.
this is a huge issue.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. So I just started doing yoga, stretching, and oh my gosh, it just helped me tremendously. And the longevity of it, that's the thing with being a DP. Obviously, for long term, I don't want to operate my whole life.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to walk when you're 50 and 60. If you're holding cameras like this and not taking care of your body, it's going to be detrimental.
Yep. Couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah. Professional athletes, DPs, same.
Twitter
You ever
handshake.
see the guys running across the NFL fields, like the Steadicam ops? And yeah, they're insane. Yeah, they're pretty much athletes at this. Yeah, they are athletes. Yeah.
It's kind of funny, full circle. That's kind of how Danny got his big break with
exactly. The Odell Beckham
Odell.
Jr.
Yeah,
Odell Beckham,
yeah.
yeah.
Like he's one of the only people that could run with a camera and keep up during training and have the stamina for it specifically. It's incredible. Yeah. Dang, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
This was a lot of fun.
This is sick,
Yeah,
man.
I
Oh
really
my
enjoyed
gosh.
this.
Early session. I like it.
Yeah.
Earliest podcast we've ever done.
Definitely early with the least amount of sleep. I hope that was mostly coherent. But yeah, thanks again for joining us. You got a YouTube channel and Instagram and everything. Please plug away.
YouTube is Carlos Stiggs, even though people call me Carlos Tiggs.
Shut up. Are you
Dude.
Are you serious?
Oh my goodness. Like Carlos, I get Carlos so often that I have become Spanish at this point. Yeah. No, it's Carlos Stiggs. Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, awesome. It's right here on the board too if you're watching. Right here.
Right over
That's
there.
the handle, baby. Awesome. Thanks again, Carlo. Really
Thank you for
appreciate you
having
taking
me.
the time
Really
to do this,
enjoyed
man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Sweet.
Bye.
That's it. Yeah. I'm going to bed.
That was fun.